I had a studio built out at Fowlers Gap, which is about 2 hours on from Broken Hill, for students at COFA. It took about 3 years to build, and last year it was completed, and I really wanted to go out and see it. And at the same time, there was a team from COFA going to Venice for the Biennale, and Shaun's imagery was everywhere that I looked. It was really kind of staring at me in the face. So obvious, I had to do a parody. I think a lot of my work is a reference to something else, and that's usually combined with a kind of a hyper-real romanticisation of what I'm referencing, which is how this series came about. It was really kind of taking that, and actually last year for me it became very apparent that a lot of people were exploring ideas of masculine gender in artistic practice, in queer events, theory. It was really apparent that everybody was thinking about and talking about masculinity, particularly in Australia. And at the same time, there was a group of women who started talking about femininity. So I kind of started looking at Priscilla, which is also very heavily about masculine gender and identity in the desert. So combining the two of those ideas. I think in particularly in queer culture and performance, there's a lot of parody of everything. There's caricatures of everything, not necessarily because they deserve to be something to be parodized, but because you can. And I think that this is really why I did a parody of this particular piece, because I could. The opportunity came up and it just presented itself, and I just took it. And I think a lot of queer performers and queer artists, and probably even performers who use parody and caricature in their work, reference things because they're accessible and they just kind of fit. Obviously, that's not always the case. There is a great deal of work and people who are parodized because they deserve to be. But I don't particularly consider myself to be a political artist, so this was not about that. My concerns in my practice are really about illustrating through colour and costume and expression and extreme kind of acts of sensuality and sexuality, the feeling of love and romance, and it is a very romantic idea that people together, look amazing and skirts are flowing and beautiful hair and makeup, and really when two people are together it doesn't look anything like that. But I like the idea of kind of making that a bit hyper-real and romanticising the feeling of love through colour and costume. And that's, I guess dresses in the desert and decadence on Australian land, or really any land, particularly Western, is something that evolved, in Australian settlement. It's a colonial reference as much as anything else to, white people turning up in their whatever and just taking over and turning a very blind eye to where they're really at and what they're taking over, and such disregard for the people who were here and are still here, and just diversity. There's such arrogance in this country. It's really disgusting.